Knights of Swholloween.
The Evil Dead 2013. I'm gonna do something I don't want to do with this movie, but considering last night's video did actually get flagged, I'm going to give you a much shorter review than I had planned, and it probably won't be very long. And I'm going to have to mirror the footage just to get the least possible amount of strikes on my account that I can. And this just pains me to have to do this, but ugh. Anyway, so if you enjoyed Army of Darkness, you might want to consider seeing this movie too. See, a while back I had plans to do this whole retrospective video on the Evil Dead series, starting with the first one all the way through to Army of Darkness, and then after presenting all of that, I would show you the remake of Evil Dead called, well, Evil Dead. See, the reason I was going to have to show you all of the movies first was because this was actually a very polarizing film when it came out. People seemed to think it was a decent horror film, but some to most fans of the series felt it was a distant cousin to the original movies at best, not really a close relative. The argument given there is that the film was far too gory and cynical and modern as compared to Sam Raimi's original, somewhat lighthearted, and I use that word loosely, tone. Instead of being, just a cabin trip in the woods gone wrong, now it's an intervention for a drug-addled college student, and instead of the playfully evil Deadites, we're now dealing with the satanic hell spawns of just gut-wrenching terror. And to those who disliked this movie, I say to hell with you. This movie had its own style and its own pace. It wasn't supposed to just be the same Evil Dead as before, just the same premise. And it succeeded at making me excited to see it all over again. I enjoyed the characters, and I was happy with the gruesome deaths and the tone of this film. It felt to me like the filmmakers were trying to do what Sam Raimi would have done had there been this kind of budget and special effects back when he made the first movie that he would have today. This movie was a thrill ride from start to finish. It was suspenseful and bloody, and while still being a faithful retelling of the original film, this version stars the usual cast of teenage to young adult characters, but throws in just enough twists to make things interesting. See, they don't just reuse the characters from the first movie. There is no new Ash, and there's no new actor trying to fill the shoes of Bruce Campbell. No, instead, you slowly realize that this isn't just a remake, it's a reboot. And it's not just a reboot, it's actually a loose sequel. Yes, believe it or not, the events taking place in this film are actually supposed to take place after the events of the first three, and it's hella cool. The saddest part about all of that is that at the very end of the film, post-credits, there's a quick stinger. All it is Bruce Campbell doing a 20-second cameo playing Ash where he says the word groovy.
Groovy.
This is sad because, as it had turned out, the original plan for this movie was to make a sequel to it, starring the main female protagonist from the film, Mia, as a continuation of her story. Then, Sam Raimi was in talks of creating an Army of Darkness 2. Then, after it was all said and done, the two films were going to merge into one big crossover starring Ash and Mia together as they both fight the Deadites with their equally impressive chainsaw hands. However, this film didn't do as well at the box office as the studios would have liked, so any hopes of a crossover and any Evil Dead sequels, be it reboot sequels or direct sequels, were squashed. Which is actually why I was really excited to see Ash vs. the Evil Dead coming out tomorrow. Again, super pumped for that. So, all in all, it was kind of short this time, mostly because I'm trying to avoid those copyright claims. I give Evil Dead 2013 7 pumpkins out of 10. I gave it a pretty solid recommendation, and since I couldn't really get into as much detail as I really would have liked, I'm telling you to go see it just as much as I'd say to go see Army of Darkness. It was a pretty great film. And with that, it leaves us only one more night of Swholloween, and that's tomorrow night. Halloween itself. And I'm finally going to tackle it, After a year of waiting, it's finally time to finish the trilogy of boring. Tomorrow, I'm going to review Insidious Part 3!